They're not warning you. They never do. But the most powerful players in finance, politics, and technology are already moving in unison toward a series of changes that will define the global economy in 2025. And most people won't realize it until they're left out, priced out, or locked out. The signs are there if you know where to look.
Data, the shifts, the subtle exits, they're happening now.
So what do the elites know about 2025 that you don't?
Let's start with capital flight. Over the past 12 months, some of the largest institutional investors have quietly pulled money from high-risk U.S. equities and moved it into tangible assets, commodities, private debt, tokenized real estate, and even farmland. This isn't about volatility. It's about preparation. The smart money knows the current system is entering a phase shift, and they're positioning accordingly. Interest rates are holding at levels not seen in decades. The average investor believes this is temporary, but the messaging coming from central banks tells a different story. The narrative has changed from transitory inflation to higher for longer. Behind that language is a strategy, one that requires breaking the back of middle-class consumption while preserving the value of elite capital. They're raising rates to protect the system from itself, not to protect you. That's why credit card delinquencies are at record highs while corporate buybacks continue. That's why your purchasing power is collapsing while private equity firms are buying distressed assets in bulk.
They're preparing for scarcity, not abundance.
In 2025, we're going to see a revaluation of what holds value. Cash is no longer king. Liquidity will dry up. The institutions already know this. That's why they're holding gold, infrastructure, AI-adjacent intellectual property, and high-efficiency private capital vehicles. They're not playing the public game anymore.
They're building a parallel economy, and it's already operational.
While the public debates headlines, the elites are restructuring supply chains, securing digital energy rights, and buying up the bandwidth that will power next-generation AI systems. They're not betting on today's markets. They're building tomorrow's monopolies. What do you own that can't be shut off, deplatformed, or devalued overnight? If your answer is nothing, you're already vulnerable. Meanwhile, governments are preparing too, just not for your benefit. The rollout of digital IDs, programmable currencies, and centralized data exchange systems is accelerating. These aren't conspiracy theories. They're documented initiatives backed by World Economic Forum pilots, G20 statements, and central bank white papers. These systems will reshape how people access money, mobility, and markets. And yet, almost no one is paying attention. That's exactly how the elite class wants it. 2025 will mark the convergence of several forces: automation replacing low-skilled labor, the collapse of over-leveraged commercial real estate, and a shift away from dollar-based international settlement. These changes aren't random. They are the culmination of long-term structural decay, and the people who engineered them are already insulated from the fallout.
So what can you do?
First, you need to unlearn the illusion of stability. Just because the system has held together this long doesn't mean it's healthy. Stability on the surface often hides rot underneath, and in financial systems, when breaks happen, they happen fast. Next, look at what's being accumulated, not what's being sold. If institutions are dumping exposure to traditional markets and buying up hard assets, infrastructure, and tokenized wealth, follow that trail. Don't mimic their public messaging. Track their capital flows. They will never announce what they're really doing.
Watch the behavior of power.
The data tells the story. In Q1 alone, there was a record spike in off-market real estate acquisitions by hedge funds. Private infrastructure deals jumped by over 30%. Tokenized treasury products hit all-time highs. And while retail investors were still chasing yield in outdated index funds, the wealth class was building liquidity networks that bypass traditional banks entirely. They are moving to a system where access is everything and ownership is programmable. That means the rules can be rewritten. The rails can be redefined. And if you're not plugged into that system early, you will simply be priced out of it. One of the most important moves the elites are making is preparing for controlled scarcity. They know that artificial abundance, the illusion created by endless printing, low interest, and debt-fueled expansion, is ending. That's why they're consolidating access to land, water rights, energy infrastructure, and rare earth materials. By 2025, these assets will matter far more than social media clout, fiat savings, or inflated equity positions. Real power will belong to those who control the physical and digital infrastructure behind the scenes.
It's not too late to prepare, but it will be soon.
This isn't fear. It's clarity. The elites are not panicking. They are calm, focused, methodical, because they've been planning for this for over a decade. You're not behind if you act now. But if you wait for the system to explain the change to you, it will already be too late. Start rebalancing your exposure. Look at tokenized asset platforms. Research private capital deals that are digitized and decentralized. Move beyond retail vehicles. Think like a sovereign, not a spectator. Align with people building solutions, not just posting about problems. What's coming in 2025 is a controlled demolition of outdated models, a clearing of the board. The elites know this. They've set up their positions, and they're not asking permission.
They're not playing defense. They're building a new game.
And if you can see that clearly now, you're already ahead of 99% of the population.
Stay focused, stay fluid, and don't ask for validation from a system that is preparing to replace itself. Because once the transition is complete, there will be no warning, just a new reality. And by then, the window to move will be gone. If this helps you see the deeper pattern forming beneath the headlines, subscribe to Wealth Signal. We decode the plays the elites won't say out loud, and we help you act before the markets catch on. Get aligned now while you still can. This is also why they're investing heavily in infrastructure that doesn't appear on most investors' radars. Data centers in rural areas, private fiber optic lines, satellite communication networks, and AI training clusters are quietly being acquired and secured. These aren't speculative bets, they're logistical necessities for the systems of control and profit that will dominate the next financial cycle. In 2025, influence will be tied to infrastructure more than information. The people who own the digital roads will decide what travels on them and at what cost. That's the new toll booth model, not with bridges and tunnels, but with bandwidth and access rights. It's also why the elites are raising the tokenized value itself. Tokenization isn't just about asset efficiency. It's about programmability, the ability to embed rules, logic, and permissions directly in ownership. This allows unprecedented control, and it's why the next economy will reward those who understand programmable wealth, not just passive income. If you're preparing for that shift, you should be asking different questions. Not just what should I invest in, but how is value controlled, stored, and moved? Who holds the levers behind settlement layers? What platforms are aggregating the rails for tokenized finance? These are the nodes of power in the coming system. By understanding these dynamics now, you don't just survive the shift, you leverage it. You become part of the infrastructure others will depend on. You don't need to be a billionaire to position strategically. You just need awareness, speed, and conviction. Most of all, you need to stop looking for permission. The system isn't going to send you an invitation. It's always sending you a signal. And those who hear it will act before the rest even notice the noise. Remember, there is no reward for being the last one through the door. There is only regret for not acting when it's still open easily. Move now. Move wisely. Move with purpose.